Today is January 5th, 2024. I've noticed something from yesterday's trade, last night's trade, and the day before, and the day before, and all the days that I was not aware of. Now I am aware of. What I've noticed about the market is that there are three types of markets. These markets have in itself the formula to create three different types of scenarios within a time frame. The first is a trend, okay? But even in a trend, there is called a range-bound trend, which means that range trend. So it could be toggling up and down, zigzagging like a stairway, either down or up. That's one. So that would be a combination of a trend and a range all tied up together to make up a single market behavior. What I also noticed about is that there are ones that I am quite fascinated about, which is essentially the parabolic move, which mimics essentially a single line of movement, up, which means that there is not a single range situation, but it just keeps moving up. That is called pure that's a pure trend. Then there is essentially a knockoff of essentially a major trend omission, and essentially is a range situation. But within the range situation, there's also a miniature trends. Okay, and so there is essentially, now that I think about it, there's a flavor of all three, but on a higher level. Looking at it from a mile-high picture, is that there is essentially a trend, a range, or combination of both. There are three types. And a few days ago, I traded successfully with a purely trend-based type of a trade, which essentially is, I was looking for a parabolic moves from the stock, moving from a instrument, moving from one area of stability to another area of stability, and moving at a fast clip. That I've seen it to resemble a parabolic move. Then what I've noticed yesterday and today is that there is also a mixture of both, of trending, but it also has a wider distribution of range within that trend, line of trend that toggles up and down and moves. And what I've seen is the third type, which is essentially a range-bound situation, which essentially chops up my funds. 5 here, 5 points here, 10 points here, 15 points here, 3 points here, 4 points, all adds up at the end of it, sitting in a session for about 10 to 15 minutes, trading those situations where I thought, okay, so on this candle, it looks like it's going to go up, but because it's range bound, it'll reverse. And reversion trading can be hazardous, and it has its own purpose, but it only works on that range bound situation. Okay? And if the trend has the range that follows that trend, that means that I can actually wait for that small reversal or a pullback and then ride out the main trend. And so I don't have to worry about that. But when the situation is the trade becomes are made in a range, what happens is that I would like okay, I'm trying to ride a trend and I see it's going up, but by the time it's too late. So when it's on the high side of that range and I get in expecting that it's going to continue, then it reverses and I have a loss. And then after I close it out, right after I close it out, it reverses because I'm thinking my mind is already made up that as soon as it gets to a certain point of that range area, then it's going to keep continuing, which is essentially a continuation of the trend thinking. But I can't do that. I have to be constantly be aware of the situation that the market is unpredictable. It's going to do whatever it's going to do. And statistically speaking, this is from the study that I've done, that 80% of the time, certain things will behave 80% of the time the way it's supposed to be. But those 20% of the time, it'll just move and it just essentially dwindle the account. And therefore, it's good to have that mindset of knowing that there is a choppy situation when something is in a range bound situation. Okay, either in a broad trend or purely range bound situation, and with everything else, with the angle of trajectory that is different between the mixture of the trend and the purely sideways action of the range bound instrument. So what I need to be, I'm making a note to myself is that I have to be aware to use different types of setups based on what the market is presenting to me. And there are 3 types that I have to be constantly aware of. Okay, I have to be aware of those things in order to improve my efficacy in trading. Aside from purely a trend-based trading, I have to be aware that trend can be within a range, and I need to be aware of that fact so that I don't get chopped up when I'm attempting to trade within a range.